So what's going on in Minneapolis right now is pretty intense. You've got federal authorities pouring into the city saying it's all about security, but then you've got city officials sounding the alarm, claiming the exact opposite, that the feds are the real danger. It's a city with two completely different stories. Let's get into it.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the federal surge itself. What does it actually mean? Then we'll hit rewind and talk about the fatal encounter that kicked this whole thing off. From there, we'll dig into the two wildly different stories being told by the feds and the mayor, see how it's all playing out on the streets, and finally, we'll ask the big question: where does this go from here?
Okay, first up, what's happening on the ground right now? We're talking about a massive increase in federal law enforcement right in the middle of Minneapolis. And yeah, it's definitely got the whole city on edge.
And this isn't just business as usual. The Department of Homeland Security is really ramping things up. They're sending in hundreds of additional agents, and they're doing it while protests are already growing. So you can imagine the situation is, well, it's tense.
And get this, we're talking about some serious numbers here. Sources are saying that on top of the 2,000 federal officers already there, DHS could bring in up to another 1,000. That is a huge federal presence for just one American city.
So you gotta ask, how did we even get to this point? I mean, this kind of thing doesn't just happen overnight. It all comes back to one single fatal incident that really lit the fuse.
The spark for all this, an ICE agent shot and killed a woman named Renee Good, and that one moment has become the center of this whole debate about who's keeping the city safe and who's making it more dangerous.
Okay, so let's walk through what reportedly happened. First, Renee Good's SUV is partially blocking a street. Now, there's video that shows her honking her horn, maybe dancing a bit in the driver's seat, and then an ICE agent shoots and kills her. What's really interesting here is that it was DHS that released the video just 2 days later, which, really helped frame how people saw it from the very beginning.
And this is where things get complicated, because you have federal authorities and the city's own leaders looking at that exact same event and telling two completely different stories. I mean, they couldn't be more opposite. All right, so let's look at these two sides. On the one hand, DHS is calling it an act of domestic terrorism. Their argument is that she weaponized her car, so the agent was just defending himself. But then you have the mayor of Minneapolis saying, no, this is proof that ICE being here is the real problem, that they are the ones making things unsafe.
And the DHS secretary isn't mincing words. He says it, quote, completely fits the situation on the ground. He's basically arguing that because in their view she used her vehicle as a weapon, it meets that legal definition, and that's why the shooting was justified.
But the mayor, he's pushing back just as hard. His whole argument is that Minneapolis is a safe city, and that ICE and all these federal agents are the ones making it far less safe. He's putting the blame for all of this right on them.
And he's got a number to back it up. A pretty powerful one, actually. He says there have been only 2 fatal shootings in the entire city all year, and one of them was this one, involving an ICE agent. You can see the point he's trying to make, that they aren't the solution, they're part of the problem.
Okay, so you've got the officials arguing back and forth, but what does all this actually look like on the streets? For the people who live there, this is where it gets real.
Well, we're seeing videos of federal agents using some pretty serious crowd control tactics. We're talking tear gas, pepper balls, the whole thing. And this was apparently happening outside a federal building after some protesters tried to block traffic. So things are definitely escalating.
And the protesters aren't just standing there. Reports describe them as highly organized anti-ICE activists. It sounds like they're actually patrolling neighborhoods. And when they see federal vehicles, they move in to surround them. So you have these really tense, direct face-offs happening.
So what we have here is a classic standoff. Neither side is giving an inch. The mayor is essentially telling the feds to leave, and the federal agents are digging in, saying they're not going anywhere. It's not calming down, it's just getting more and more locked in. And this quote from a Border Patrol agent really says it all. Someone on a ride-along asked him if the mayor telling them to leave would stop them. His answer? Absolutely not. He says they have a job to do, and they're going to do it no matter what local officials say. It's a pretty clear line in the sand.
So, this whole thing leaves us with a really big question, right? You've got the city government on one side and the federal government on the other, and they're at a complete impasse. When that happens, when they clash like this, who's actually in charge of keeping people safe? Who polices the peace?